Hi everyone, and welcome to today's edition of your Edmonton Electrician, where we bring customer service back to the trades. In today's edition of your Edmonton Electrician, we are going to be talking about Arc Fault Circuit Interrupters, or AFCIs or AFIs, depending what you want to call them. As always, here at Hauer Power Electrical, we are happy to answer our customers' questions. If you have an electrical concern or electrical topic, we want to hear about it. We want more suggestions, so get at us. As your professional Edmonton electrician, our goal is to provide power through customer service. So let's get into it. What is the difference between Arc Fault Circuit Interrupter and Ground Fault Circuit Interrupter? Or what is the difference between AFCI or GFCI? We'll get into that. What does AFCI mean? What does Arc Fault Circuit Interrupter mean? What does it do? What does Ground Fault Circuit Interrupter mean? What does that do? Why do I need Arc Fault Circuit Interrupter? Why do I need AFCIs? Where do I need AFCIs? Where do I need Arc Fault Circuit Interrupters? What is an arc fault? When do I need to install Arc Fault Circuit Interrupters, AFIs, AFCIs? And can I install an Arc Fault Circuit Interrupter myself? Or an AFCI? Can I install an AFCI myself? Why should I hire a pro to do Arc Fault Circuit Interrupter installation? And why does my Arc Fault Circuit Interrupter keep tripping? In addition to that, we'll get into why we are your Edmonton electrician, why we are your best customer service, and why you want to hire us to do your next electrical job, whether it's big, small, commercial, residential. We do it all. If it has wires, we're just happy to bring you customer service. So getting back to our summary here of our table of contents, what does Arc Fault Circuit Interrupter mean? Well, just that. In the presence of an arc fault in your circuit, it will interrupt your circuit. So that brings us to what is an arc fault. An arc fault is when you will have an arc, which is the fault of your circuit, an arc between your hot and your identified or your neutral conductor. An arc simply means that it is sparking between the two. Hate to use the definition in its own definition. However, that is the best way to do this one. If you don't know what an arc is, Webster's has a book on that. But getting back to it, arc faults are between a hot wire and an identified wire, and they will interrupt your circuit when they detect such an arc. Many devices will have arcing on a regular basis. What devices should be arcing? Well, drills will arc. Squirrel cage induction motors will arc. Sometimes your sump pump should arc. It's a motor, and that's what it will do. The devices have come a long way from when they first started out. When they first started out, any light switch that was maybe a year old would arc and trip the breaker. A lot of lights, a lot of LED lights were not compatible with arc faults. A lot of situations would provide a tripping situation in the case of having an arc fault breaker. Now, coming back to our contents here, what we're going to cover and what the difference is between arc fault and ground fault is arc fault circuit interrupters and ground fault circuit interrupters are two different things, but they have one goal in mind, and that's your safety. If they don't want you to get shocked, both of those are put in place to avoid the risk of personal electric shock. Ground fault circuit interrupters interrupt on hot to ground, 5-6 milliamps to ground. That's when a ground fault circuit interrupter will interrupt your circuit. An arc fault circuit interrupter will interrupt when you have hot to neutral or hot to identified, depending what definition you're going for. Those are two different things, but they essentially want to accomplish the same goal. They're installed in two different scenarios. Arc fault circuit interrupters required in bedrooms, basements, anywhere where you have living facilities where there is not an appliance dedicated for that use. So if you have a microwave and it's dedicated to be on one receptacle, you can get away without having an arc fault breaker there. If you have a refrigerator and it's covering up that receptacle, you can get away without having an arc fault there, which is great because both of those have motors. They both need to turn something. They both need to spin. Your refrigerator is going to have pumps. It's going to have your coolers. It's going to have a compressor. That's a motor. Your microwave is going to have a turning, spinning disc to spin your food. That is a motor, and motors do typically create arcs. Now, if you're in a bedroom, you do not want any arcing, because arcing creates fires, because when you have two conductors and they both have a voltage difference, maybe this is your hot and this is your identified, as they're brought closer, they're going to start arcing. And if that arc is separated between the two, you're going to create a heat between these two conductors. As you create heat, because they're trying to bridge that gap, heat makes fire. No brainer. Fire makes electrical house fire. It's only going to get bigger from there. That's why Arc Fault Circuit Interrupters, or AFIs, are required in all residential applications. An arc fault can occur in commercial and industrial applications. However, that's different. That's a different scenario, and they don't usually have arc fault circuit interrupters for such a situation. If they do, it's on a larger means, a larger scale, and in your house, you don't need to worry about that. In your house, you do need to worry about arc faults, and you do need to worry about protecting your living facility receptacles with arc fault breakers. As your Edmonton electrician, we're happy to bring you quality in-home estimates. We'll tell you how much something will cost before we send you the bill, so there's transparent billing in effect right there. You know what you're going to get charged to make your home safe. That's where you sleep. You want to make that safe. You don't want any house fires, neither do we, and we do our best to solve that. Now, when do you need to install arc fault circuit interrupters? If you have an older home, you typically don't need to. It's great practice, and it's highly recommended, as it does reduce house fires. It is proven to reduce house fires, but you don't need to. They're typically grandfathered in unless you change or alterate your system. If you're adding a new circuit, you need to condone with current electrical codes. Here in Edmonton, we abide by the Canadian Electrical Code. Now, an arc fault breaker or arc fault receptacle, whether you use one or the other, arc fault circuit interrupting receptacles are going to look very similar to your ground fault circuit interrupting receptacles. Ground fault circuit interrupters are commonly found in your kitchen or in exterior applications. Anywhere within 1.5 meters of a water source, you'll find a ground fault circuit interrupter. Arc fault circuit interrupter is going to be in the case of a receptacle or a breaker. Most commonly, it'll be in the case of a breaker due to the codes requiring mechanical protection coming up to the first receptacle, which sometimes just doesn't work out for the scenario. But you will find arc fault circuit interrupting breakers in effect as of I believe it might be the 2012 code, it might be the 2015 Canadian Electric Code. But regardless, now we are in 2019, and you do need this just about anywhere in your home. Consult your local Edmonton electrician, and they will be happy to give you an estimate on where it's required, when it's required, and why it's required. And if they can't tell you all those three questions, then maybe you need a new electrician. Give us a call, 780-935-0622 or info@hauerpower.ca. We're happy to address all your local code questions. Now, can you install arc fault circuit interrupters yourself? Yes. Most commonly you can. We don't advise it. Don't do it. Hire a pro. The risks that are associated with electrical shock can be deadly, as you very well may know. And as a professional, we deal with this stuff every single day. So the same way a mechanic can pull an engine, the same way a surgeon can operate on a heart, we can operate your electrical system. And we wouldn't want to have it any other way, because that's how accidents happen. And we don't want accidents, and neither do you. Give us a call, and we're happy to give you an estimate. And if you say, hey, that's too much, well, we can work from there. Now, another question we commonly have about arc faults is, why does my AFCI keep tripping? Why does my arc fault breaker keep tripping? I've tried so many things. I've tried changing around the circuit. Your arc fault breaker might just be expired. Everything has a shelf life. Everything has a life expectancy. And with time, things will fail, as with anything in life. Arc fault breakers are no different. Arc fault circuit interrupting breakers can be good for 5 years, can be good for 10 years, can be good for 15 years or more. It depends on the application, the use, the weather, humidity, temperature factors. So much comes into play. But the fact is that eventually it will fail and it will need replacement. If it keeps tripping, give us a call. We're happy to come and replace that for you, or further, if that's what your system needs. As always, here at Hauer Power Electrical Services, we are your professional Edmonton electrician, and we are happy to bring customer service back to the trades. Give us a call, and if you're ever concerned at all about your electrical system, shoot us an email at info@hauerpower.ca. Thanks everyone for watching, and have a great day. We look forward to hearing more comments, more issues for our videos. Have a great day.